Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul. Justin Mirigliani here. Let me straighten things out. Camera's a little off. There we go. It's great to have everybody here. Another Monday. Unbelievable how fast it comes. So today we're going to talk about the balance between self-interest and charity. And that's not always easy. It is difficult. And I think for me, trying to figure out that balance has been pretty tough. And if I err, I definitely err on the side of giving too much. And as much as that might seem like, wow, that's really great, in a lot of ways it isn't, because what I'm giving away sometimes could be things that I could give to my children or family. And maybe I don't think about that all the time when I'm doing it. So I'm trying to be more cognizant of that. I wish that I was a multimillionaire and could give to everything. That'd be fun. It would be something that would make me happy. And it's not all altruistic. A lot of people might say, well, isn't that wonderful that you're going to go out and you want to give as much as you can? Isn't that great? And it is, but it's not all altruistic. There is a selfish component of it. I think most people who like to give enjoy the feeling they get when they give. So, it's not like he or she is a saint because they give. He or she enjoys giving, and that's part of the fun. Now, not everybody thinks that way, of course, but a lot do. And I have a story that's firsthand of something that I'm trying to get over, something that frustrates me, but I can't let it frustrate me. I have to kind of sit back and just let it go. And that is, I heard a story from a friend about two friends of his, and they were out at lunch together. They went to a restaurant, met up, close friends. I mean, they grew up together. And one of the guys is a multimillionaire. And I'm not talking about 2, 3, 4 million. I'm talking about hundreds of millions, not a little bit. Probably not a billionaire, but certainly well over 100 million. And the other guy, his friend, who he went to lunch with, is struggling, and he doesn't have a whole lot of money. And during the conversation, I know they spoke about things like family and how am I going to get my kids through school? My business is not doing well, and all the things that go on with it. The bills are piling up. I haven't been able to get ahead of things. And the friend who has so much, I just don't understand how he didn't say, don't worry about it, I got you. Now, I'm not saying you go out and you throw money around to everybody on the street. I just don't get how, if you have so much that you can't even begin to spend, how you don't just fork it over to a friend or family, in this case, a close friend, when what would 5 million be to somebody who's got, let's say, let's just go conservative, 250 million. If you give away 2 million, I mean, what's going to hurt you? It would be like normal people donating $20 to a cause. I just don't get it. I don't understand. And I know that some people will say, well, this is not a world of handouts. This is not a world where you get something for nothing. You have to work for what you get. And I get it. There is that. And it's important to work and get what you can get and we all try to do it, try to build as much capital as we can, as much wealth as we can. But at some point, I don't see why somebody wouldn't share it when, again, it wouldn't have any effect on them whatsoever. I mean, it's not like they're giving out of their own um, necessities. It's not that it's money that they have to have for essential things like a home or their car payment or anything like that. All that stuff's taken care of. And when you have, I don't know, in today's world, I have no idea what would be comfortable anymore. It's really difficult to say. But when I was growing up, if you had $1 million and you were 40 years old, you could retire. That was it. You were good. You were set for life, unless you went crazy and spent it all. Now, today, I don't know, 2 million, 2.5 to be able to retire at 40 if you um, and not have to worry about work. Obviously, at 40 years old, you're not going to retire and just sit around, but you would do what you wanted to do. You'd be able to go out and, for me, I would probably just teach. I would teach as a sub and just go to school. And when I wanted to, if I didn't want to, I wouldn't take a job that day. And if I wanted to, I'd go. But getting back to the story, I, I put myself in the position of both people. And I asked myself, if I was the one who had that kind of wealth, how long would it take me to decide to pay off my friend's mortgage, to give him money to retire, and these guys are my age. They're both in their 50s, early 50s. It wouldn't take me long at all. In fact, I wouldn't even have to have the conversation. As soon as, to me, every friend that I have, if I had hundreds of millions of dollars, would be taken care of. There would be no worry about, well, what have they given me over time? It doesn't matter, because you can do it. Now, again, I'm not saying be crazy and throw away hundreds of millions of dollars, but let's say you have, what, 25, 30 close friends, and you have another 50 family members. Okay. So what's that? 40 some people, maybe? Let's say 50 people. To give them $1 million a piece, it's 50 million, a lot of money. But if you have hundreds of millions, it's not that much. It's really not that much. Not going to put a dent in it, especially if you're making more money every year, too. I mean, it's not like somebody in that position has $100 million or $200 million or $300 million, and that's it. They don't make any money. Of course, you invest it, you're making the interest alone would keep piling up. You'd have money that you could never spend if you wanted to. Now, again, I put myself in the position of the person who's got the money, and I know it'd be a no-brainer. I wouldn't even have to think about it. And then I put myself in the position of the person struggling. And I can't help but wonder how you could sit there and discuss what you're going through as far as difficulties. And your friend is saying, yeah, it's really tough. It's really hard. I hope it works out for you. And that they could reach into their couch money, coins that fall on the couch, and probably get you out of trouble if you're behind on your bills or whatever. What does it take? I just don't get it. I don't get it. And like I said, I err on the other side. I probably give away more than I should. How do you strike the balance? Where is the balance? What I give is out of what I need. I'm not wealthy. I don't have tons of money. So if I give money, it's coming out of money that I could use for gas, or bills, or put it towards my children's education, put it towards rent, whatever it might be. But still, I want to give a little bit at least. Now, the other side of it is, as I said earlier, how much do you give without taking away from your own family? If I give away $5,000, let's say, how do I look at my kids and say, oh, you know what? I don't have enough money to let you do this or let you do that. Maybe they want to play on a particular sports team. Some of these sports teams now, to join a club or whatever, you're talking like $5,000 a year or more. Travel teams and things like that. I mean, I don't know what happened from when I was a kid. My parents probably paid $200-300 a year, period, for us to play sports. And now, just to join a team can be 6,000, 7,000, 8,000. Then you tack on travel if they go to Florida, California, wherever they go. And then you have the travel expenses, then you have the hotel, you have the food, equipment. You're getting close to $10,000-15,000. That's one kid. If you have multiple kids, if you have two kids, now you're 20,000-30,000 in. So if you're in that position, can you give away $5,000? And it might be to a great cause. You might say, oh man, this is, you see those commercials with the kids who are cancer patients. And yeah, I mean, you'd love to give as much as possible, but there's got to be a limit somewhere. There's got to be a cutoff where you say, look, I just don't have it anymore. I can't do it. I just don't have it. And that's hard because we all, at least most of us, want to give as much as possible and help as many people as possible. I have a dream that it probably won't come true, and that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I want friends. I want to go out to lunch with friends, and I want to just casually talk to them about things and say, what's your favorite car? And they tell me their favorite car. And then maybe a month later, after they forget about it, buy that car, drive to their house, and when they come out, they look at it and they're like, "Oh, wow, that's the same car that I want. That's a really beautiful car. Congratulations!" And you throw them the keys. So there you go. It's your car. Yeah, I got that idea when I was in college. I was in journalism, and the editors who were juniors, I was a sophomore. They interviewed us and asked us questions about how, if you wanted to be an editor, how would you handle things and this and that. I was the sports editor. I was co-sports editor with a friend of mine, Stephanie Caldwell Boone. Stephanie was great. We really had a great time. But anyway, when we were being interviewed, one of the questions at the end was, "What's your favorite kind of candy?" And we had no idea why that question was there. It was kind of weird because the questions that were coming out were things about journalism. What would you do if the paper was, let's say somebody missed their deadline and you had to fill in some space? What would you do? And of course, the answer is you would write a story yourself, or you'd have a story and you would add to it, or even subtract from it. Sometimes you'd have to make room. So we went through all these questions. It probably was an hour interview. And then again, at the end, they said, "What's your favorite kind of candy?" And whatever I said at the time, I don't remember. But when we got the job, Stephanie and I, they gave us that candy. And that was why they asked. Because when we got the job, as a congratulations, they gave us the candy. And that was really cool. So I got that idea from that. I thought, oh, wouldn't that be cool if you had a friend who really wanted something bad, like a car, and then you buy it, and when they look at it and say, "Wow, that's wonderful, congratulations," then you just throw them the keys and say, "Here you go, it's yours." Yeah, again, that might sound like, who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for them, or are you doing it for you? Why can't it be both? What's the problem if it's both? Does it have to be 100% altruistic, or does it count even if you get a kick out of it, if you enjoy it? I don't see what the problem would be. Now, this is a famous person. And I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to. It's not my place to. I don't want to say out them, but to be critical, I guess. And this famous person was being interviewed, and they asked him about his family, and they said, what was it like growing up? Grew up in New York. We grew up in this very tiny apartment, and we didn't have much, and the bills were we barely made it, and uh, all the things you can think of in poverty, right? We didn't eat well every night. Some nights we were hungry and we didn't have much. And then they were asking about success, and he was talking about success and how great it was to be liberated from poverty, to be able to spend money, buy food, buy whatever he wanted because he's multimillionaire. And then they asked him what happened to his family, his father, his mother, and of course they passed away. This actor is probably in his 80s now. And they said, well, what did they do after you became famous? And he said, well, my mom passed away about when I got famous, but my father lived to be 97 or something. I forget what number, 97, let's say. And he lived in that apartment until he died. And he never stopped struggling. He always tried to make ends meet. And the whole time I'm thinking, how are you letting your father struggle when you got millions of dollars? It's your father. I need it explained to me somehow. I really do. I don't understand it. It's your own father. Yeah, and to talk about it, as a matter of factly, yeah, oh yeah, he struggled up until the day he died. I visited. Yeah, all right, fork over some money and help him get out of poverty. Move him into a house, get an in-law suite, whatever it takes, but buy him a house. I don't know. It's frustrating. The other part of it is I gotta find a way not to let it be frustrating, not to let it bother me that there are people that I know who won't give. They just don't have it in them, or just don't think about it. Maybe that's it. Maybe they just don't think about it. It just doesn't cross their mind. Yeah, maybe that's the case with those two people I was talking about. Maybe the rich guy might say, well, you know, everybody's got their own thing to worry about. I got mine. He's got his. Maybe that's okay. I don't know. I say this almost every week. I don't have the answers to these questions or these topics. I don't. I all I can do is think about them and broadcast them and see if people will chat in and give me their perspective on it, which I hope you do, because I really would like to hear that, what everybody thinks. I don't know. Am I being too harsh? Am I holding up people up to a standard that I shouldn't be? Is it okay for me to hold people up to a standard that I think I should hold myself up to? Maybe not. Maybe that's my own decision, my own choice. What I want to do is not necessarily what everybody else wants to do. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating when people see, if somebody had a dream, a friend, family member, and they said, I really want to do this. Let's say it was my nephew. He's a great cook, young guy, 15, and he wants to open up a restaurant. Now, if I have $100 million or more, even if I had less, if I had $10 million, and he said, Uncle Justin, I want to open up a restaurant. Can you lend me some money? Number one, I wouldn't lend it to him. I'd give it to him. And number two, I'd say, well, how much you want? And as long as it's within something I can afford, yeah. And Uncle Justin, it's going to cost me $1 million. So I'll give him $1 million. I got 10 million, I got 20 million, I got 50 million, whatever it is. What am I going to do with it? What happens to it when you get older and it's in your bank account? Does it go with you? Nope. Is anybody going to be on an altar or at your funeral or at a gravesite and say, boy, he really had a lot of money. He had a ton of money. When he died, his bank account had more zeros than you could even think about. It was almost infinite. Nobody's going to care. You're not going to care. You're going to be gone. But what if people said, He changed my life, or she changed my life. I was down and out, and he or she forked over the money to get me out of a hole. Or I wanted to start that business. I didn't have the capital to do it. And he or she believed in me and gave me the money to do it. I personally, I would rather people say that when I'm gone, because that's legacy. And again, you might say, well, that's selfish because you just want a legacy. Okay, fine. Let it be selfish, but does it really matter? Does the end justify the means? I think so. If I get pleasure out of it, if the thought of me having a legacy where people say, wow, he was really generous and he helped me achieve things, my dream, whatever, I'm okay with that. In fact, I'm more than okay with that. I'd be happy about that. That make this all worthwhile. Now, I'm not suggesting that all of us are in the position to do that, and I'm not. I'm not in the position to be able to do that. But if I was, I don't even have any question about it. I don't, how many people, and look, it's their own money, so they can do whatever they want, but buy a $2 million car. I mean, I get buying a $150,000 car, but 2 million? Unless it's an antique or something that you want that's, if you're a car person and you want a Model T that happens to still be around and you buy that, I get that. That I get. But a $2 million car to drive around in, first of all, I'd be scared to death to drive it because I wouldn't want it to get dinged. I forget what actor it was, a comedian, Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan bought a car that was $2 million. I don't know if it was a Bugatti or whatever it was. And driving home from the dealership, the car got hit. I can't even imagine what that must feel like. You just bought a $2 million car and now it's dented. Now, nobody's happy when their car gets hit, but if you just drop $2 million on it, that's a little painful. But what kind of joy could that car give you that a really nice car couldn't? I don't know. No, I don't see it. Same thing with food and drinks. Like you see alcohol. What is it, Louis VIII, I think, $16,000 a bottle or whatever it is. Incredible amount of money for a drink. I would bet that most people wouldn't know the difference between an $18,000 bottle of scotch and a $250 bottle of scotch. I really don't. I don't think most people could. Now, if you're a connoisseur and that's what you do, maybe. But most people would never be able to tell. Yet, people will pay the money to get that scotch. Now, why? Is it prestige? How delicious could it be that it's worth that kind of money? It isn't. So I can't tell people how to do things. I can't tell people you should do this, you should do that. You got to decide that. I can't make that decision for you. But I hope people think about it. Throw money away on things that are just unnecessary. Wouldn't it be more pleasurable to spend that money on things that would make other people happy? I'm certainly not saying don't have fun with your money, because I would. If I was a millionaire, I'd have the house I wanted. I'd have multiple homes in different places that I'd like to vacation. I would have the car that I wanted, which would probably be about $150,000. It would not be a $2 million car. I would eat what I wanted. I probably would have a personal chef if I was extremely wealthy. I'd have somebody cleaning the house. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be throwing millions of dollars at that. I wouldn't be going to the casino dropping $1 million at the tables. I'd be looking for things to do. I would fund my own projects. I'd fund things like my documentary that I want to get done. Talked about this last week. One of the most frustrating things in business, in this case, the documentary would be a business. I have a production company that really doesn't do much right now, but hopefully going to build up. But capital is the biggest killer. I can't make the movie without money. Can't do it. You have to have the cash. I mean, to buy footage, it's a hockey documentary, and NHL footage, I believe, is $9,000 a minute, and they charge by 15 seconds. So if you use 15 seconds worth, it's a quarter of the $9,000. That's a lot of money. So would I spend money on things like that? Yeah, I would. I would. And it would be fun. It wouldn't be throwing it away. It'd be trying to create something, trying to build something, trying to leave something behind. I talked about this on other shows a long time ago, but it really hit me one time when I was playing Monopoly with my family, and I was winning. I had hotels on Boardwalk and Park Place. I was killing everybody. And we were getting to the end of the game. I knocked out two of my family members, and we had one more left. And as we're getting to the end, I'm thinking, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And then I thought, if they land on Boardwalk, the game's over. So all this buildup, this excitement, I'm going to have all this money. I'm going to have all this stuff. I'm going to have the hotels everywhere. It was a game. I get it. But I thought in real life, it's pretty much the same thing. Where's the excitement come from? If you have $100 million and you make another 50 that year, are you excited about it? I mean, is that really going to be like, wow, I made $50 million this year on top of what you already have? No, it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. There's no joy in that. Maybe for some people there is. Maybe they just want to pile it up, and it makes them happy to see that those numbers in an account. Maybe they want to try to become the richest person their family has ever had. Maybe they want to be one of the richest people in the world. I don't know. What does that get you at the end of the day? I don't know. I don't. I think the whole point of it is, if you have it, you can live through other people. You could actually see their excitement because they're not millionaires. For you to give them a car, and see them go crazy. Look at Oprah. Oprah, when she had those giveaway shows. I didn't really watch the Oprah show because it was during the day, and I'm not a big talk show guy as I do the show. But I remember a friend of ours was in the audience, and Oprah gave away a car that day. It was a Volkswagen Bug, and these people were almost passing out from excitement. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't catch their breath. Now, yeah, I think Oprah did it because she likes to give away and give back, but I'm pretty sure that she gets something out of it too. It's not all altruistic. There's an excitement that comes to you from doing it. You're actually reliving what it was like to get that first million every time you do it, or get that first big check, whatever it is. Every time you do that, you're just going to get another chance to see it through other people's eyes, and then remember back to when it was you. To me, that'd be pretty exciting, because the joy of just stacking dollar after dollar after dollar on top of each other, at some point, it's got to get old. It's just, what will you buy that you couldn't buy before? I said this before, and I know I repeat myself a lot. I do it on purpose. But I really see, at least in my experience, and not everybody, this is not a blanket statement, but for the most part, the most giving people I've ever known are people who didn't have a whole lot to give. People who gave out of what they had for themselves. Money that they needed to pay the bills, money that they needed to feed their family, money that they needed to make car payments, mortgage payments, but yet found a way to scrape some together and give it. So if you have And some people might say there's no such thing as extra. There is. There is. If it's just sitting there and you've already got everything you want, give it up. Again, I'm not able to tell people to do it. I can suggest it. Would I take it to do my film? Yeah. If somebody said, Justin, I believe in you. Here's the 100,000. I don't care if I make my money back, but I would like to. I mean, sure, any business person wants to make their money back. I get that. I mean, that's fine. But if it's me as the person lending the money, the return on investment will be secondary. A, it would be a tax write-off, right? I mean, you need some tax write-offs if you have that kind of money. B, you'd be watching somebody do something that they would never have been able to do without your help. Is it a handout? No, it's not a handout. It's sharing what you have because you're lucky enough to have it. I know people will say that they work hard for it, and I know they do. But luck plays a role. You didn't get sick and miss work. You didn't have a family member who got sick, a child maybe. You didn't. Maybe you started out with some money. Maybe your family knew the right people. Could be a million different things. Now, I said this before as well. Nobody's self-made. I don't care if you started with not much money at all and you built something, you're not self-made because two people had to make you, first of all. And then after that, somebody had to feed you. Somebody had to change your diapers. Somebody had to send you to school. Teachers had to teach you. You had to go potentially to college and learn from professors. You're not self-made. Nobody is. Whether you started out with a nickel or you started out with $50 million, it doesn't matter. You're not self-made. You've been helped along the way. And, people toot their own horn about, well, I started with nothing. And look, that's great. If you built a business and you really are successful, nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's very impressive. And that's the way it should be. People should uh, do in life what they want to do. If they want to be an entrepreneur, go for it. If they prefer not to and work for a company, that's cool too. You can do whatever you'd like. But the you got to remember that there is the luck factor. How many people sing and are great singers or play an instrument? They're great at it, but they don't get seen by the right person. They never get their break, but they're just as talented as anybody else. For every Billy Joel, what are there? Hundreds of thousands of people who want to be Billy Joel? And there's only one Billy Joel? Are these other people not that talented? No, they're talented. They just didn't get seen by the right people. So luck plays a role. So if you were lucky enough to be in this position, maybe you can make somebody else's life lucky. And this show is not a guilt trip. I'm not saying that, if you don't do it, you're a terrible person. I'm not saying that at all. But I just wish I could figure out what it is that stops people from giving, especially if they have it. You see these GoFundMe's all the time, and some of them rake in tons of money, thousands and thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And usually, and this is fine, it's good. It's usually a problem that a child has. The child is sick, or there was a fire and their house burned down and they lost a parent, whatever it is, terrible, terrible things. And yeah, people will give money to that, which they should. Yeah. But then you get somebody else who, I had friends that, were out of work for a long period of time and their rent was coming due and they weren't going to have it. So they would ask, people on Facebook and say, "Hey, could you spare a little?" And very few people gave. Very few. And I'm thinking to myself, when do you not have, unless you're homeless or extremely poor, how do you not have $5 to give? If 100 people put up $5, they would have $500, just like that. Or if you want to go the extra mile, you give $20. If 100 people do that, it's $2,000. That pays their rent and then some. Now, is $20 going to break you? For most people, no. Some people, maybe. But $5, come on. It's not going to hurt you. And it's the numbers game, right? If you give $5 and somebody else gives $5 and somebody else gives $5, that it's costing you very little, but it's making a difference to somebody else because they're getting all that money. I'm not into the no free rides thing. If you want it, you got to work for it. Okay, yeah, I mean most of the time that's true, but there could be extenuating circumstances that don't allow people to be as successful as they'd like to be. My friend who put up that GoFundMe for his rent, he didn't want to be out of work. He didn't choose that. That chose him. So I would hope. And I was disappointed that not many people gave. And another GoFundMe I know, a friend of mine, her son wanted to go to a special camp, and she put on GoFundMe. Now, out of all the people that she's friends with, literally 2 people donated. 2 people. Let's say she knows 500 people. 2 out of 500 people didn't have $1. I put up, I think, $50. Not a life-changing amount of money by any stretch of the imagination. So today, a tank of gas. So for a tank of gas, I was able to give that kid $50 towards the trip, because these things aren't cheap. Like I said, with the sports too. I mean, it's the same thing. Whether it's a special camp for kids with was a camp for space. It was like a NASA type of not even the NASA sanctioned. And I'm thinking you could get this kid to this camp for minimal amount of money out of your pocket, but yet out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, 2 donated. And I just scratch my head and wonder, why is that happening? Especially if you know the people. Yeah, I get it. You can't give to everything, and I'm okay. I understand that, and I can't either. I can't give to everything that I want to give to. Nobody. Well, most people can. I wouldn't say nobody, but most people can. But if you got a friend who needs something and you're scraping by, but you have $5. You can put up to $5, and maybe it'll come back to you. Maybe one day you'll be the one who needs to raise some money for something. Maybe you'll be the one that says, I could really use that right now. And somebody will come along and say, I got you. Here it is. So as we're getting ready to end the show, again, this is not a guilt trip. I'm not trying to tell you, well, you're a bad person if you don't want to give, because you're not. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. What it does mean, though, is that we need to think about this, or at least I hope people think about this when you see somebody struggling. Don't be the person who says, well, I'll take you to dinner. Here's the $70 dinner when you have 250 million in the bank. What's $75 or $80? And that's not, at least in my opinion, not enough. Not enough. I hope someday, and I know it's going to be almost impossible. I get it. I realize that becoming a millionaire or multimillionaire is not something that everybody gets to do, and I probably won't be one of them. But boy, if I did, I would. It would be pretty cool to be able to do the things that I really, really want to do. And whether people think that is self-serving or, yeah, part of it is. It is. Because I'll be able to go to sleep at night and smile about it and think about it. But hey, if that's what you get joy from, I can think of a lot of things that are a lot worse than that. So All right, so that is the end of the show this week. I want to thank you all for being here, and hope gave you something to think about. I do. I think about it a lot. So thank you for being a part of it, and I will see you next week.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.